This is my school and this is my learning zone. I'm Pranjal, a full-time high school student. In my free time, I find the opportunities to have conversations with professionals from various walks of life. Over time, I have learned that you have to be humble, work hard, and be a lifelong learner to be successful in life. I invite you to join me in one such journey. I hope you enjoy it. Today on my show, I have a guest who has taken the phrase "the sky's the limit" literally. He hails from South Korea and has a degree in aerospace and automation engineering. From serving in the military to becoming a commercial pilot, this is the journey of Mr. Choi Jin-woo. So please welcome him.
Hello, nice to see you. I'm Jinwoo from South Korea. I'm living in China for Sichuan Airlines. My family is living in Penang. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Mr. Jin-woo. So let's learn more about your childhood. How was it like when you were a child? Where did you go to school?
I was just a normal student. In an elementary school, my grade was quite good, and I didn't know why. As I entered the middle school, my grade went down little by little continuously. So around ninth grade, I just wanted to get back my old reputation. So I tried to find out how I can get a better grade. So it took me quite a while to find my own way of studying. So I would put it like it's my passage to finding my own way of getting a better grade.
So after finishing your school day and when you came back home, what activities did you do?
When I was young, I always wanted to be an engineer in the future. So I take devices or machines into pieces, and I want to know how it works. Then after that, assembling was more difficult than disassembling. So I broke so many things, and then figuring out how those machines work were helpful for my future. So that's what I did.
What kind of machines did you disassemble?
Well, a lot of kinds like a sewing machine or any furnitures and yeah, things like that. Sometimes TV, I think. Yeah.
Wow, big things. So how was your overall experience in school?
Oh, well, as I mentioned earlier, I think it was a journey of finding out how I can get a better grade at school. So sometimes I regret a little bit that I should have played harder than I did. And I didn't enjoy the school life very much, as most of the Korean students do these days.
Hmm. All right, that's interesting. So in 1995, you go to Incheon, South Korea, to learn aerospace engineering. This is a really interesting field to major in. What made you choose this field?
Well, I wanted to be an engineer, but I didn't have a specific dream about it. In 1995, it was the first attempt of Inha University combining those two majors into one specialty. So I thought it looked quite cool, and this can fulfill my enthusiasm towards science and engineering at the same time. But things didn't go as I expected a little bit.
What went wrong?
4 years after they made special major, the professors decided to abolish the major again,
Oh no.
which is not a common thing. Nobody expected this happen. So my colleagues protested against this abolishment together, and we wasted the whole year of senior year at the university.
So after facing this big setback, what did you do?
Well, I mean, the main reason that it became a setback because we cannot get a better job as we expected before, and so maybe that's the one of the thing that I started thinking about being a pilot at the time.
So when you went to university, a big positive of being in university is the new freedom that you gain in university. You get to be away from your family and you live alone. Was it hard getting used to the freedom? If so, how did you adjust to it?
Oh, yeah, it was a big issue to me. I never had that much freedom before in my life, and I was quite clumsy at enjoying my freedom at the beginning. Then I wanted to experience everything that I can do. So I joined like seven or eight club activities, and hardly remember what those are, except one club is yeah, the one club was a hang gliding club, and I put everything into that club. During vacation, we made hang gliders by ourselves, and then for the school trip, we went a lot of places to fly them. It was illegal at that time, but I mean, it was illegal these days, but at that time there was no law for hang gliding. So yeah,
So you made your own hang gliders and just took off to the skies?
yeah, yeah. Literally, we made our own hang glider by ourselves.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. Did you face any major setbacks in university?
Oh, at at the freshman and sophomore, I struggled about the different teaching style and as you mentioned, so much freedom and balancing those two things were quite a hard work for me at the beginning. So I didn't do that much study, and I was still eager to experience more things. So
Right, right.
uh,
All
my
the
grades was
setbacks,
not good.
yeah. All the setbacks aside, what was your best memory of university?
Well, I would say the best memory was yeah the things that happened in hang gliding club because well of course there was some bad thing happen but um some are really hurting but at the same time so many good memories that I want to cherish till the end of my life. Yeah.
So if you got a chance to hang glide today, would you pursue it?
Oh, not anymore. Actually, one of the setback was one of my friends in the same hang gliding club. She just he died during the competition with the other school, and so I was so freaked out. I just wanted to quit hang gliding, but after a while, I just thought that if I had studied more about the aerodynamics and climate, I could have been a better pilot. So that's the beginning of the whole story.
Right. So, after university, it's my understanding that in Korea, for every male, there's a mandatory 2 years of service in the military. When you joined the military, did you know what regiment you wanted to join?
Oh well, usually there's if you just join them without any test, yeah, it's a random. So you can be an Air Force or Navy or whatever. So and there are several specialized military that you can yeah volunteer for the service. And so I just choose Katusa.
So, at the beginning, did you already know you wanted to maybe become a pilot in the Air Force since you were studying aerodynamics, or no?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't expect to become a pilot at that time. Also, my dream was to become an engineer or researcher. I just want to study more about aerospace and more about the automation.
So you eventually do get in Katsua, and Katsua is a very prestigious program. How did you get into this program?
Katsusa is an acronym for Korean Augmentation of the U.S. Army. It's literally like supporting U.S. Army personnel in Korea, and we just help them to protect our country. So to become a Katsusa, you need to pass written exams on 3 subjects. Before 1995, there were 3 subjects, and suddenly they changed the rule in 1995. So only English test, and also several interviews. So I thought it was a good chance for me. And I've never been abroad before, so yeah. But I thought it was a good chance, so I just tried hard to get the score and managed to get in the narrow door there.
That's good too. Did you already speak English at this time?
I was I never had the experience in like schooling abroad, or I've never had a conversation with some English speaker in my life, never. So I just scored quite a bit, but my English was so poor at the time.
So who taught you how to speak English? How did you pass the exam?
Well, the school system in Korea, we studied English for 6 years at least. So maybe my understanding about written English is not bad, so that I can score a little bit. But you know, reading and talking is quite a different story, so quite a different field. So I just tried to improve my listening skills about English. That took me about a year. Then I could score a little bit more in the TOEIC test.
So you joined Katsua. How was your overall experience of the program?
Well, compared to the normal Korean army, Katsusa has more freedom, and they are working as a day job workers. So like 8 o'clock come to the work, and around 5 they finish their work, then that's free time. But normally in normal Korean army, you don't have any free time at all. Yeah, you have to work 24 hours. So that's the difference. And also subsidiary, I can.
Was it easy getting used to a life of military from coming as a student? Was it easy becoming a soldier?
It was not easy at the beginning because yeah, I just scored barely enough to pass the exam, and I was the only one who never had experience in any English studying abroad. So I was the worst English speaker in my base, and some of my colleagues and other soldiers, they were just looking like make fun of me, and they just bullied me a little bit at the beginning. So that's not easy, not only because of the different environment and also because of the language.
So after your service in the military, you leave the military and set your eyes on the sky, quite literally. You joined the Korean Airlines cadet program, and you wanted to become a pilot. How did your mindset change from researching and going to engineering to become a pilot?
Well, after finishing sophomore year of my university, and then I joined the military service. And when I come back to school, I just wanted to start my junior year, but the professors already decided to abolish my major.
Oh yeah.
So I was not able to enter any good companies as an engineer anymore. So I had 2 choices. Like one is studying abroad for the master degree, or join some not good companies as an engineer. But from the hang gliding club, that I got an information of cadet pilot program in Korean Airlines. So the Korean wanted to hire someone from other major than air operation major for diversity of pilots field. So they didn't care about the major, but have to pass 7 tests. They were like mathematics and physics and flying simulator and psychology, English, and some interviews.
So is becoming a pilot hard, or the training?
Well, generally speaking, to become a pilot for a private jet is not that hard. And as an example, in US, like 70s or 80-year-old grandpa or grandma, they are also flying their private aircraft. Yeah, it's true. But the cadet program was quite essential and quite shortened. Yeah, so it's quite, I can say it is quite hard. Yeah. Let me play it. So it's, how can I say it? The program is not that easy, and maybe half of our colleagues were just watched out during the process, like they are fired.
Right, right. That's good to know. That's inspirational. Even after facing a setback as getting your whole degree abolished, you still continued on your path and decided to become a pilot. This is very inspirational. After finishing the Korean Airlines cadet program, you become an official pilot for Korean Airlines and you fly an
Yeah.
Airbus 300 to 600. How was it
Yeah.
like becoming a commercial pilot?
Well, the the cadet pilot program took me about 2 years and a half, and that course is aimed to become a pilot for a commercial pilot for Korean Airlines. So adjusting to a commercial pilot was not that big a deal at the time. Yeah.
So you were made an FO of Korean Airlines. What's an FO?
FO is the acronym of a first officer, and basically, when flying a jet aircraft, minimum 2 people are required. First one is captain, and the other one is first officer. So they both can fly the aircraft, but captain takes all responsibilities.
So after becoming an first officer, did you finally feel like you were on the right track and this was the plan for your career?
Yeah, I struggled to to choose one career in my life, and I felt and I thought this would be the last job that I would continue to the end of my life.
Right, right. So how did you get an opportunity to be a field officer of Airbus 300 to 300 and 600? Did Korean Airlines offer you a flight after your cadet program, or did you have to look for an opening?
Oh, after the cadet program, Korean Airline will hire like, most of our colleagues, and then they randomly choose, like, there are 3 types of aircraft, and they will randomly choose the pilots from my class. So I was chosen to become a 300 600 pilot.
Right. So then you fly a lot of planes and then eventually you change airlines to Busan Air. Why did you feel, is changing companies in the aviation industry a big deal?
In After the cadet pilot program, I have to pay back my debt for the cadet pilot program for about 15 years. And that means, yeah, that means you're not allowed to leave Korean Airline for 15 years. But as the industry gets busier and busier, and also the Korean Airline is expanding so fast, and to become a captain took me around 13 years and a half. So I didn't want to wait there to become a captain because I have another better chance in China and other countries. So I want to make captain a little bit earlier. So after 10 years of first officer in Korean Airline, I moved to Airbus, which is low cost career, which is quite easier for me to become a captain, faster way to make a captain.
So you do become a captain, and after becoming a captain, did you feel like a sense of accomplishment that all your years of studying aviation and the cadet program have finally paid off?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And the good thing is, uh, at that time, 10 years was quite a long time to make a captain, uh, generally speaking. But because I served for Korean Airlines for 10 years, they have good program, they have good education there. So I learned a lot that become quite a good asset for me to move on to another level.
So in your 10 years of flying in Korean Air, flying different aircrafts, is flying different aircrafts that much different, or do they say it failed the same and there's not that much different from each other?
Well, yes, of course, it's quite different. The design philosophy of Airbus and Boeing, there are two major big companies, and it's totally different. And actually, they are fighting against each other by obtaining patents on inventions. Like, as an example, for Boeing, to turn on, you have to push down the button. Airbus, you have to push up for the button. So, I mean, this is a small thing, but anyway, you have to memorize everything. It's quite complicated every time. So,
What do you prefer more, Boeing or Airbus?
well, personally, I prefer Airbus. But the design philosophy is quite different. Airbus, we just call it the aircrafts are made for pilots, but not for engineers, which means it's quite hard for the engineers to figure out and fix it. It's quite hard for them. But for Boeing, it's quite simple, and that those aircraft are made for the engineers because it's quite simple for them to fix it. But for pilots, we need more effort and we need more sophisticated control of the aircraft.
Right. So you prefer Airbus?
Yeah, I do.
Right. So after serving in Air Busan, you move on to the Chinese airline called Sichuan.
Mhm.
So what prompted the decision to move from Busan Air to a more prestigious airline?
The airline industry in Korea, they just the salary in Korean airline, they just didn't raise it for more than 10 years. So compared to the GDP of the Korea, the salary was getting lower and lower and lower, and even compared to other countries, the salary is quite low. So I want to take a chance. So maybe it was quite challenging for. I just wanted to take a chance. So that's why I just moved to China.
Right. So when you moved to China, you also moved to a brand new country, and you haven't lived abroad until this time period. How is it moving to a brand new country?
Well, mm, it was quite challenging. And also, uh, we have different system. The politically it's quite different, and also the social system is quite different. And but one thing I just thought was everywhere you go, it's the same society. You are living with other people, so basically, I thought it's the same. So I thought I can manage to survive in there.
Did you know how to adapt to the culture, or did it come naturally, or did you have to read to find out what you should do to adopt the culture?
Well, to adapt the culture, it was a little bit hard at the beginning. It took me maybe 2 years to make a living quite naturally, because in China, mm, like systems are so slow, but they want to make it accurate. So they need more time for every process. So one thing is like a bank, or if you want to transfer money or things, it's quite easy in Korea. Maybe 1 second, everything will be done. But in China, we have to visit the bank, and their process has to be more than several days. Sometimes it took me months to transfer money to another bank account.
So you do eventually adopt the culture, and you live in China for a long time, and then your family and you moved to Penang here, Penang, Malaysia. Why did you move here?
The main reason was the school here. We didn't want them to go to the regional school here. So we just sent them to an international school here in Chengdu. But Chengdu is not that developed city, from my point of view, especially educationally, they don't have that many international schools here. So the school were they were going was international school, but the curriculum there and also the teachers there were not that qualified from my point of view. So me and my wife just decided to send them to a better school environment, and Penang was our final destination. We just agreed.
So you travel a lot around the world. You've seen the entire world. How do you feel about that?
Uh, yeah, literally, I've been to everywhere of the world, every country in this world. And so, well, but traveling is one thing, and that to know of the country is another, I think. So, yeah, so I've been to that country, but I don't know that much about that country that much. So, maybe the rest of my life, I just want to study more about the specific history about that countries one by one.
So your career has been really interesting, but now let's get to know you a bit more personally. Apart from flying, do you have any hobbies that you keep up with?
Well, I like moving my own body. I love every kind of sports. I like playing football, basketball, tennis, golf, and etc. But so after I come to China, I played football with the other pilots in Sichuan Airlines. But one of the foreign captain injured his leg during a match, and after that, the company just banned playing football anymore. So yeah, so I cannot help but quit playing football. And then after that, I started learning tennis. So these days, I play tennis a lot. And as a pilot, I have to follow the company's rule, and I need to give up some activities and hobbies because of that rule.
So how do you manage your time as being a pilot and flying around and with your home life? So in other words, how do you manage your work life and home balance?
Uh, Before I came to China, I used to fly long-haul aircraft, bigger aircraft, which was Boeing 747-400 or Airbus 380. So most of time, my flight was to US or sometimes Europe somewhere. So I always lived in a different time zone. And it was quite hard. Even my rest days, I cannot have that much time with my kids. So one of the reasons was I wanted to spend more time with my kids. So after I becoming a small aircraft captain, like I was 20, now I'm flying. And most of the flight, I might come back after the flight before midnight. So after that, I can have more time with my family. Mm.
How has the pandemic affected your industry? Is it tough being a pilot now?
Well, yeah. Aviation field wasn't enviable job before, but as we go through the COVID-19 pandemics times, the demands are not that great, and so these days they are firing so many pilots, and they don't hire anymore. So yeah, but I suppose this is just a temporary thing, and the dawn before sunrise is the darkest. So, and I see several companies, they are starting to hire some pilots now, which is a little hope for us. I think there will be more expanding of yeah airline fields soon, sooner or later.
Definitely, let's hope for the best for the aviation industry. Throughout all your history working and with your experience studying aviation and being a pilot, what advice would you give to a young student aspiring to be a pilot today?
Uh, the good thing about being a pilot, first one is it's really interesting. They said flying is the how can I say? Flying is the interesting thing. Interesting thing, and the first one is landing. That's what they say. So after like flying, you feel like you're so alive, and you feel so interesting field. And also the good thing is you don't have to compete with others. In other fields, you have to be the best to survive in that field, and you have colleagues, but at the same time they are your competitors, and you have to beat them. But pilots, you don't have to beat the others in a competition. It's not a subjective evaluation, it's an objective evaluation. So you can help and share your experience with other pilots to survive together. So more united, more chance to survive together. So that's what I like about this field.
It's great. Many students will get to hear your advice now. So, I ask these three questions to everyone who comes on the show. The first question is, if you had a time machine and you could go back and relive any moment in your life, what moment would that be?
Mm, Well, I also thought about this so many times, but most importantly, if I go back, I won't be able to have the same adorable three sons I have now. So, and I felt like I was so lucky in every important moment of my life, and I tried my best every time. So even if I can go back, I doubt if I could have done the same that I have done before. So I just don't want to go back.
Speaking about luck, how much of your success would you dedicate to hard work and how much of your success would you dedicate to luck?
Oh, well, I would say 90% of hard work and 10% of luck. Because and that includes even if I was lucky, I was trying hard, and I was ready to grab that chance in my life. And I knew there would be some chance. I prepared myself to be ready about that point of time. So I would say 90% of hard work and 10% of luck. And also that includes the information, because I think uh, so many things, well, when they change the system or some task, if you are an early board, you will have more chance to grab the chance.
Thank you so much for your time. Your journey was truly inspirational, the way you dealt with challenges, and I hope you have a good journey for the rest of it. I will say that again. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Your career was truly inspiring. From facing massive setbacks like your whole degree being abolished to still coming up and rising out of it and becoming a pilot of a multinational air company. Thank you so much for your time once again.
Thanks so much.